Welcome to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, the business connector to business in Brazil. Welcome to Talk to Brazil, the business connection, the world's first English language internet radio program about business in Brazil since 2009. I'm Tom Reaoch, an American living in Brazil for many years and known as the King of Networking, and talking from my studio in Campinas, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Today's guest is Nathalia Santos. She's a partner at OurCrowd Brazil. Nathalia has been a guest previously on our sister podcast in Portuguese, BBN Brazil Business Network. Nathalia and I met last year in Sao Paulo at the OurCrowd Summit, which launched OurCrowd in Brazil. And Nathalia joins us today from her home office in Sao Paulo. So with that, hello, Nathalia, and welcome to Talk to Brazil.
Hi, Tom. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, it's really our pleasure because for our audience, OurCrowd is a global venture investing platform with home base in Israel, and they empower institutions and individuals to invest and engage in emerging companies. And what I saw and you were able to explain to us, Israel is the world's leader in innovation. And we saw that at the summit last year, where I learned just how widely OurCrowd invests in innovation and startup developments across a wide range of opportunities. And now you returned from Israel. You were at another summit there. So what I'd like you to tell us today is, what are some of the latest developments? How was your visit?
Okay, Tom. Well, I spent almost a month in Israel. It was great. We had this annual summit, Global Investor Summit. We had more than 23,000 applications from 186 countries out of 191 that exist in the globe. So it was really great. Before the summit, we build an agenda to visit and to deep dive in the tech hubs in Israel, so I could see and check what's going on. And it was great also. We received and we brought a Brazilian delegation to our summit that also they were really impressed with all the innovations and the trends and the things that we were presenting them. Regarding the technology innovations that we see for the future, we were talking about things from food techs and foods that are growing in labs to quantum computing. So it's a really big range. So yes, like we pretty much talk about lab-grown food. Our brains will get wired. So yeah, AI is everywhere, as we had also last year in Brazil. We talk a lot about autonomous driving, a lot about productivity. We will leap ahead to discovery. So computer vision will drive healthcare. So we talk a lot about medical devices, medical innovations. We also brought to the main stage some case that they were using some of our portfolio companies, some development for Parkinson, essential tremor, for cancer. I'll explain later. Robots, materials will become materials. So a lot of innovations in materials. Yes, pretty much about it. So we were talking about the future in the next 10 years. And this year, we talk about what was Israel from the past 10 years. Since the book that were launched 10 years ago, Startup Nation. So we had Soul Singer in our stage.
Right.
And now we were seeing the future from 10 years on. Of course, like with the crisis that we are having right now, the coronavirus, but of course, pandemic are here to stay. So we will have more crises like that.
Right.
We probably will have a change in the habits of people. So business that we were seeing like long-term business, like distance education, what else? E-commerce, those things that were like long-term. Now we are seeing like trends that maybe we will they no longer will come back as long term. So probably we will. Yeah, this will be a new reality for us, and also for like investor perspective, we will see this as like a near future trends.
Well, you mentioned an important point. As I said at the beginning, I'm talking from my home studio, and I'm talking to you at your home office. But that's something we did last year already. And my business has always been in a home studio, and many people have worked from home offices. What's happening right now because of the crisis, everybody's learning to work from a home office. So we're saying not only today in Brazil, but worldwide. Everybody was sort of, like you said, in the long range things. Everybody was forced into that very quickly.
Exactly.
So that's the new norm.
Yeah, I think that some habits are now reaching inflection points due to the crisis, and they may reach the point of no return. And probably in the end, what we're talking is that the money tends to be reallocated to this type of business now. So, of course, the things that we saw in our summit, they will remain as a trend. But the things that we were seeing before as a long-term trends probably will be the near future trends.
Right. And I think they're going to be basic points that will be reincorporated into everything.
Exactly. Like things from infrastructure for communications, visual services, all those things that help people to stay in their homes in those times like this we are living right now. And probably the money will be reallocated. That's what we're seeing right now.
Well, it was good that you spent a month there in Israel, because I've been to Israel many, many years ago, but what I found, and many people think of Israel as a very small country, which it is physically. But even when I first went there, I was amazed at that time. The technology that I went to see was irrigation, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about when I was there, it was sort of like 1975, just to put it into prospect. But at that time, the technology for irrigation was just fantastic. And when we saw that, a country that learns to do so much with so little, and when I compared that to Brazil and did at that time, that unfortunately we have so much here and unfortunately do so little.
Exactly.
So the intense innovation in Israel, that's not something new.
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, the things that happen there is like, as you said, right? Israel is one of the most innovative nations, according even to the World Economic Forum. And there's some reasons for that, such as the alignment of the government with the academia, with corporations as well. The government is very supportive and proactive. There's a lot of initiatives and incentives from the government. Also, the society, it's very education driven, right?
Right.
So Israel, the state of Israel was founded in 1948, so it's a pretty new state. But they always been education driven. The government always wanted that Israel could be like an example to the world.
Right.
So they have a lot of initiatives to help, and all the interests are aligned. The academia, so the teachers, for instance, they can have innovations, they can create things, and they can have equity on the things they create. So like all the universities, they have a lot of things from tech to entrepreneurs. So the scientists, they are also entrepreneurs. That's a very unique thing.
Well,
So
I
that's
saw
why,
that was striking at the summit here last year in Sao Paulo. That impressed me.
yeah, yeah.
The person, some of the persons making the presentations were the scientists and were the startups. And were the entrepreneurs, and it was just one person and wrapped up in 4 different things.
Exactly. So yeah, like the ones, the founders usually are the ones that is the science, but they also have to go and fundraise for the innovations. So yeah, they are entrepreneurs as well.
Well, that's what today's startup is, right? You have to be multi-flex.
Yeah. But like in Brazil, for example, there's a law that was approved last year. So the professor now can have equity from the inventions that are created in the universities. So this is something that, for example, before was a gap between the market and the academia. So now I think that things will move on. Will get better.
So. Now, tell me about that. You mentioned at this summit in Israel, if I'm not mistaken, you said there were 23,000 applications to the summit from 186 countries.
Exactly.
And you mentioned the Brazilian delegation. The persons in the Brazilian delegation that you went with, were they first-time visitors to Israel, or had they already known about Israel as a base of innovation? How was that?
Yeah, like most of them have heard about, right, Israel as a innovation nation, but for all of them was the first time visit. So they were like very impressed. They were very impressed with the agenda we built for them. We could visit like big companies, startups, tech hubs. Yes, and they have like the summit between. They could see a society side as well. It was great agenda.
So really, what you said, it's an innovation mindset that's part of the population's culture.
Exactly. Yes.
So now you're back. You came back from Israel.
Yeah.
What are your plans? Because now you've also OurCrowd is like 10 months old in Brazil. Is that it?
Yeah, we launched OurCrowd in our summit last year in September. Yes, we're 10 months old here. But what we're doing right now, actually, OurCrowd itself is doing pretty good, right? Just the end of 2019, last year, we closed a partnership with Stifel, which is the 7th largest full-service investment firm in terms. They will bring us more investment, of course, and spread OurCrowd's investment opportunity into the U.S. market even deeper. And regarding the Brazilian operations, we are structuring ourselves a vehicle for investment in OurCrowd portfolio. Also, this vehicle could in the future invest in local deal flow. So while this is not ready yet, we're not looking for local deals. Right. And what we're doing now is to spread OurCrowd's vision into the Brazilian market, spreading also the Israeli knowledge, bringing Brazilians to Israel for tech tours to get to know the ecosystem. Pretty much is this what we're doing. We're planning our summit next semester as well. And pretty much this is what we're doing right now. Actually, right now we are all concerned about the crisis. We are working with our portfolio companies, right? Right. So we are making sure they have like a cash runway for the next few months, actually, like to at least 12 months. We'll make sure that they review their projections. And so this is pretty much what we're doing right now. But this is it, yeah. Well, like this crisis, as we talk it, even though it's a hard time, a singular event where most of the global nations is in their houses right now.
Right.
Of course, the ones that can be in their houses, right?
Right.
Crisis equals to opportunities as well.
That's true.
So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But meanwhile, it'd be a time for business to reinvent themselves, a time for new kind of business and inventions. And those who understand those changes and opportunities will surf the wave. Great companies are also built in downturns. For example, Airbnb, Uber, Instagram, and WhatsApp,
right.
They both were built during the period of 2008 crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So we are pretty excited also. There's 2 points of view for investors and for startups, positive points, right? And during this crisis.
Well, no, and you're right on that. This is the time for reflection, and it's really not a time to sit down and do nothing. And even from an investor standpoint, really to take that time and analyze. So what we see today with the crisis that you mentioned, what is amazing that how fast information has circulated throughout the world. Scientists
exactly.
on I'd say the one corner, but on one side, information just circulating 24/7 amongst scientists, amongst companies, everybody sharing. I think the word sharing has taken on a different dimension, but that's also from the dimension because the infrastructure's there. So we're talking about cloud computing, you're talking about this type of innovation, talking about WhatsApp. WhatsApp has become a communication platform for the crisis.
Exactly.
So that flow and is helping everybody innovate and really feeding an improvement. So that's the plus side. That's the good side. The bad side is the suffering that comes, but unfortunately, that's also a learning process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like in all crises, there will be both sides, right? And what we're seeing now, for the perspective of investors, there will be great opportunities on the market right now. We will see, of course, some down rounds, lower valuations, but this is good in the perspective of investor because you can get better deals, probably better multiples on exits. I'm talking not only about new investment, but also the investor that has a portfolio of startups that address the new trends that this crisis is bringing to us, such as virtual service, online education, health companies. They have the investor who has money to support these companies and do follow-on rounds will also succeed. And for the point of startups, from the perspective of startups, the companies will need to stay relevant as much as possible during this crisis. Right. Like everyone is focused on the crisis. Also, the money tends to be reallocated, as I mentioned before, to trends that before were long-term trends. Companies with a corona thesis will rise up to the top. This thesis is not only medical, but including improving remote access, distance working, as I mentioned, Rome-related activities, enhance self-communication infrastructure. This is a great opportunity for both sides, right? While the environment for funding has become more challenging, investments are getting done. So especially for those companies who are relevant this time and have proven business models and track record, they will succeed.
Now, you mentioned environment in a general sense, but talking about the environment, and one of the things that struck me at the last year's summit here in Brazil that I had the pleasure of participating in, I remember seeing many of the presentations were focused on food, on sustainability, and on the environment. So those were really base points that were meaningful and become even more meaningful now.
Exactly. All the technologies that address those problems, right? The food scarcity, pollution, everything else will also still not only a hype, but a trend that will last.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And also
Especially
healthcare.
also
We
healthcare.
saw last year several examples of healthcare, different devices and different focuses on that last year, which also really impressed me. So,
Yeah. This summit, we brought 2 cases, 2 startups that already tested in people, and those people were on stage. They were great. One is AlphaTau. AlphaTau offers patients suffering from cancer new alpha particle-based radiation treatment, which destroys solid cancer tumors using alpha particles. So we had like unprecedented clinical trial results, 100% response rate, and complete response rate of 79%, with minimal toxicity in patients with squamous cell carcinoma. This is the type of cancer of the head, neck, and skin, including those with radio-resistant tumors. So this was great example. Another example that were there is in Cytec, which is a healthcare technology company that is transforming surgery by non-invasive surgery through MRR, guided focused ultrasound, without incision, inserts ultrasound waves through the skull with the ability to treat essential tumor, Parkinson's disease, neuropathic pain, epilepsy, brain tumors, and drug delivers for neuro-oncology and brain tumors. Like this example, we had a person that couldn't before write a check with essential tumor, and he could do this treatment with Cytec, and you just get out of the room without Parkinson or tremor anymore. So this is very fantastic. The recovery of the treatment, it's way better than the invasive procedure. So yeah, so sometimes sometimes of solutions that before we couldn't imagine, and will help people's lives a lot in the future, and it's already helping people.
Right.
So that's good. It's not a future, actually. It's a present.
No, I remember there were other things that I remember seeing, the robotics and the different medical devices. Obviously devices for surgery, you just mentioned, but other devices that patients could wear, could use, monitoring systems, whatever, that just through information and shared information. Medical applications. You're talking about distance learning. You have distance medication and medical evaluations.
And all those things, it's even more highlighted right now. We have there's one company called Title Care, which is exactly this. It's like a transformative healthcare that connects people to clinicians to provide home examinations and diagnosis solutions. It allows the patients to carry out self-examinations of heart, lungs, throat, ears, skin, abdomen, heart rate, and body temperature, and send this data remotely to medics, allowing them to monitor the patients without exposure to disease. So this is like a corona use case. Title Care allows doctors to examine, treat, and monitor patients without having to be physically present. So this is very good. It's one example of company. There's another company that also helps distance solutions for corona use case that called Sight. It's like combining artificial intelligence and hardware to bring lab quality results to the doctor office. So for example, Sight Diagnosis is in Sheba Hospital right now in Israel. They is currently using its device to provide both tests for coronavirus patients without the need to transport infected lab samples or bring them to the central blood labs.
Wow.
So it reduced the risk, right, of
Right.
further infections.
Right.
That's another great example of device. What else? There's like Sanotize, which is like antimicrobial and immunomodulating properties of nitric and oxide to treat skin and respiratory system disease. So the corona use case, Sanotize has a nasal spray solution that may prevent virus infection among healthcare practitioners by killing the virus upon entry through the respiratory system. Mm-hmm. So it's like this is like a gel and lotion that's proven antiviral. So it could help to treat and to kill the virus upon entry the respiratory system. So it's also a great case. But not only in medical space, we have, for example, a company that is like, it calls Cryon, which is RPA, like a robotic automation process. So those type of solutions could help the process inside a company. So we have like this case that we have a laboratory that's actually a testimonial from a lab test. So the process of transfer the lab test from the Minister of Health, that could last hours with these RPA solutions. It could reduce the process to minutes or even hours. For example, process that could last 50 hours with RPA could be in 2 hours and a half, for example, or process that could last hours could be reduced to minutes. Those in times of crisis, right? Like right now, we could reduce the whole chain and could be more efficient. The whole process and and what we can do for people right now regarding time, right?
No, we used to say that time was money. Today, time is survival.
Survival, exactly.
No, it is. And I was mentioning the speed of information transfer. That ties what you just said, the speed of taking that information, reacting, and doing something with it. And time is essential. We're seeing that. We're living that right now. Every day's a new day here. Every day's 24 new things. Every hour we're seeing things change radically. And just to be able to accompany so much information is difficult. That's for everybody. We're talking about the scientists, for the common person, for everybody, for us professionals. How do we react to all of this? What do we do about it? What do we say and what we don't say? So it's,
and still, as you mentioned, we have a lot of information,
right?
That have been exchanged, but there's so many processes that is still be done by humans.
Right.
So we need people to do it, and those tools to automate it, like the process, is very helpful.
Well, we've actually, this whole crisis is a wake-up situation for all of us, because information has always been out there. Sometimes, unfortunately, we were picking and choosing just what we wanted to hear, what we wanted to act on. A crisis refocuses everybody to what is important and essential for survival. But what we're going to learn, as history has shown us, we'll get through this. We'll come out on the other side. The world will come out on the other side. Science will come out on the other side. Things will be better. But innovation has to keep being driven. And from the economic side, and what you're doing is really focusing on opportunities, finding opportunities, and fitting people and companies together.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to have a good year, really. So what you just said, you have a whole lot to do.
Yeah, we have a lot to do now. help the companies that we have already in our portfolio. Also look for good deals, because now it's not the time that people don't invest. Of course, the amount of investments will reduce.
Right.
But for those who has as we say, for everything, money is king.
Right.
For the startups that need to have money to survive, right, during this period, and for investor as well. So if the investor is smart and we will look for opportunities for the winners right now,
right,
there will be great opportunities, and the investor that has money to do it will succeed right now. So it's a both side work.
That's a
we
win-win.
Take care of the startup, exactly, and for the startups as well, right? Because there won't be too many investors out there. Some investor will just take care of their portfolio companies, but there will be investments. There will be term sheets being signed. So yes, for the companies who are winners and who are doing great, who are addressing the trends, they will succeed.
The survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Very good.
Pretty much this.
Well, Nathalia, I want to thank you. We're coming to the end of our time, but I want to congratulate you on all of your efforts this last year, what you have done, and I know what you will continue to do. You are a very young, brilliant woman that's also managed your career quite highly. And we want, I don't want to take another year to interview you again, all right? So we will be back talking more, because there's really so much to update. There's so much to talk about. Yeah,
there's so many things happening at the same time.
All right, so we'll do that. So stay well, stay safe. We'll be back in touch. And congratulations again on your work.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you once again for inviting me. Be safe, and we will talk soon.
We will. And I want to thank you for sharing your time. And for our listeners, you can find more about Nathalia Santos, and her name is Nathalia Santos. You find her on LinkedIn, and also OurCrowd, which is OurCrowd.com. And I'd like to thank you, our audience, and our sponsors, Focus MI Market Intelligence. Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. More about them on their site, which is focusmi.com. And our website you can visit, which is talktobrazil.com. That's TALK, the number 2, BRAZIL.com. There you'll find all of our previous shows of Talk to Brazil. So remember, when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Tom Reaoch on Talk to Brazil, the business connector to Brazil.